What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. Got the most intriguing fight of 2019. Sergey Kovalev, the Crusher, versus Anthony Yarde. This is a must-see TV matchup, man. It's very intriguing, very intriguing. You look at Anthony Yarde, man. The guy's got a lot of ability. Just his resume is thin as sliced cheese, man. Very, very thin resume. Let's just talk about his strengths right now, and then we'll talk about his resume. First of all, he has a good straight right, bazooka right. Right hand is very strong, very strong. And hold on, before I talk about his technical skills, man. The guy is big, man. The guy looks like a heavyweight, man. The guy is a big, light heavyweight, big guy. I know he weighed less than Kovalev in the weigh-in. I think he raised. I think he was around 174, maybe close to slightly under 174 in the weigh-in. I think he like 173, somewhere in there, close to 174. And Kovalev was just under 175, man. But when they go into the ring tomorrow in Russia, he's going to be the much bigger fighter, man. Like I said, when you look at him, he looks like a heavyweight. Guy is big, man. I don't know. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's dominated, man. He's big. He's just much bigger than his opponents, and he uses his size difference to overwhelm his opponents. Kind of like what Jerry Hurd does at 154. Now he's fighting a very good veteran technical fighter in Sergey Kovalev, and there's been a lot of speculation. There ain't even no speculation. There's a lot of people basically saying that they think what they've been talking about Sergey Kovalev. They think he's pretty much on the downside of his career. A lot of people have even gone far as to say that he's pretty washed up, he's done. I don't subscribe to that theory, man. You look at his last matchup with Edelay Alvarez, fought a good fight, man. It was vintage crusher, using the jab, using the straight right hand to control the distance with Edelay Alvarez, a guy that was trying to load up on one punch and try to repeat what he did in the first fight and knocking out Sergey Kovalev. Made no adjustments from the first fight to the second fight, and Sergey Kovalev put on a boxing clinic on this guy, man. Looking good, man. Didn't look as great as he looked in his heyday when he fought Jean Pascal and people like that, but he was probably 80-85% of his old form. He looked good, man. Withstood a lot of storms in that fight too, as far as Alvarez hit him with a lot of hard shots, and he was able to stand up to those punches. He didn't succumb to those punches. Now, when he fights Anthony Yarde is a style is similar to Edelay Alvarez. His style is similar to Edelay Alvarez, but he's much more athletic fighter than Alvarez, and his right hand is a much quicker. He's got a dynamite right hand, y'all. It's like a bazooka, I call it. His right hand, he throws it and he throws it straight and short. And it's a bazooka, man. Once he gets you out, it gets you hurt, man. He's a good finisher, good body puncher, goes to the body, good left hook to the body. And but you can tell his favorite punch is the right hand, man. He's a right hand loving throwing puncher. Loves to throw that right hand, man. He loves to throw that. If he can hit you with that right hand, if you show you can't get out the way of his right hand, he gonna throw that right hand. He gonna throw that right hand 4-5 times in a row. If you can't get out the way of it, that's just your problem, not his. He don't mind throwing that right hand. He said, I'm not gonna throw the left. If you can't get out the way of my right, I'm gonna keep throwing this right hand. He done that a lot of fights. But the thing about Anthony Yarde, man, his resume, the guys he fought, man, they mediocre at best. I'm being kind saying his competition has been mediocre. Them guys are horrible. Like I say, domestic level, European, C-level fighters. You look at Sergey Kovalev, man, the guys he's been in the ring with, Jean Pascal, champion at light heavyweight, defeated Chad Dawson, dominated him both times, fought Andre Ward twice, who was at the top of the pound-for-pound list. First fight, I thought he actually won that. The second fight, he was winning the fight, I thought, early on, but toward the middle of the fight, he got hurt bad. Well, I think with a left hook by Ward, and then Ward went to the body and finished him off. And, that's just a great fighter, Andre Ward, a Hall of Fame fighter that he lost to. And after that, he's beaten Bernard Hopkins, a Hall of Famer. Allen beat it was a Hopkins that was close to 50 years old, I think, somewhere around, close to 50 at that point. But I think Bernard Hopkins had just came off a win over Jean Pascal. and beat another top fighter at 175 pounds. So he beat him in a 50-50 fight. A lot of people went into that fight with Kovalev versus Hopkins as that they thought that was a 50-50 fight. Yeah, I think maybe even not even 50-50. I think Hopkins was the favorite going into that fight based on his experience and based on him beating and upsetting the apple cart in other fights that people thought he was going to get beat in, like the Pavlik fight. Hopkins won that fight, and he was able to beat Pascal in Canada. So a lot of people thought that Kovalev was another guy that was a guy that showed a lot of promise, was winning, a guy that was on the rise, but would succumb to the experience and technical skills of Bernard Hopkins. But that wasn't the case, man. He showed that he could actually out-technical Bernard Hopkins, as he was able to catch Hopkins coming in and caught him with a straight right to drop Hopkins, and he was able to use a jab, man, and he was able to outpoint Hopkins in that fight and hurt Hopkins numerous times in that fight. So he showed that he just wasn't the crusher, that a guy just come in there and throw bombs and get you out of there. He showed that he can outmaneuver a veteran, a guy with the skill level of Hopkins, even at his advanced age. He showed that he was a good technical fighter along with a good power fighter. So that was a good win by Kovalev. And I think that'll be the difference in this fight, man. I think early on, he's got to watch out for that straight right. If he get caught early on with that straight right by Yarde, man, and he gets hurt, man, he's going to be in trouble because Yarde is a great finisher. Once he gets you hurt, man, he knows how to get you out of there. Same can be said with Sergey Kovalev. Once he hurts you, he's one of the best finishers in boxing. So both guys got great right hands, and both guys both guys got great right hands, and both guys, I think Kovalev has the advantage as I think he's a better jab, got the better jab, because I think Yarde just used his jab just to set up his right hand. Basically, he used his jab as a range finder to get off the right hand. But Kovalev actually scores, and he's able to hit his opponents with his jab to keep them off balance. Now, body work, I give that advantage to Anthony Yarde. Great body puncher, great body work. And he's a real good body puncher, man. He stopped a lot of his opponents going to the body. But then again, a lot of his fighters are just not on that level, man. Like I said, I'm being kind saying mediocre, man. These some guys that journeyman type of fighters. I wouldn't even say, I say C- level fighter. I'm not going to even say C level. They C- at best. And he's able to stop them. So it's kind of, when you step up a competition, you should show power on one level when you're fighting a certain level of opponents. But when you go into the elite level of fighters, will you carry that same punching power that you carried when you was fighting the guys at that C level? Case in point, Keith one-time Thurman. When he was fighting guys at a certain level, he was knocking guys out. One time, Keith Thurman, stopping guys. But then he started going and fighting those guys at a higher level. The knockouts stopped coming. As he didn't knock out Sean Porter, didn't knock out Danny Garcia, didn't knock out Manny Pacquiao. And the knockout stopped coming. Even when he fought like a Leonard Bondu, a guy that was a veteran fighter, a guy that you looked upon as a stepping stone type of fighter, but a guy that was rough and rugged, he couldn't even stop him. So that's going to be the big question in this fight. He has power, but he has shown that he has power, but does he have that type of power that carries at the high elite level? We're going to find that out tomorrow. We will find that out tomorrow. So the bottom line with this fight is it's going to be real estate. Where will this fight take place in the ring? Well, if it's fought at a distance, it's going to favor Kovalev. Kovalev wants to keep this fight at a distance in the middle of the ring and where he can set his punches up. The jab, the straight right, the combinations, the straight right to the body, the straight left to the body. That's another advantage Kovalev has. He doesn't have to catch you. He doesn't have to throw his punches hard all the time to drop you. He can touch you with those body punches and drop you. He's dropped numerous opponents when he touched them to the body. It didn't seem like he threw any kind of force behind no punch. He just threw a little short left to the stomach or short right to the stomach, and opponents have fallen. That lets you know what kind of elite power that Kovalev have. So we'll see. The thing about it is, same thing with Kovalev though. Those guys that he did drop with those body punches, they were better than any of what Yarde fought, but they wasn't elite level. When he fought Hopkins, he was able to drop Hopkins, but he didn't knock out Hopkins either. When he fought Ward, he dropped Ward in the first fight, but wasn't able to finish him. He was able to drop and finish John Pascal, but John Pascal was past his prime at that point. So both fighters, when they have gotten to the elite level, haven't produced the type of knockouts that they did at the lower levels, but Kovalev has shown at the elite level that he's capable of hurting his opponents and dropping them. And that's one thing we don't know yet with Yarde, as this will be his first step-up fight, fighting a guy in Kovalev that's at the elite level. So I think if you Anthony Yarde, you're gonna have to get inside and go to Kovalev's body, where everybody knows that's his Achilles heel. Going to his body, he has shown that he's prone to wear down. If you go to the body, you can possibly stop Kovalev, as we seen in the Ward rematch. So, that's another thing. You would think Anthony Yarde and his team will be zeroing in on, is going to Kovalev's body. I think the fight early on will be very intriguing. It's going to be like a firefight. Both guys going to be looking to set up the right hand. And both guys, you might see both guys get wobbled, getting caught with the right hand. I think it'll be very, very explosive. But I think as the fight goes on, the experience of Sergey Kovalev will pay dividends. He'll be able to just break him down, being fighting on that higher level, being fought top competition, being the more experienced fighter. I think he will slowly and surely outmaneuver Anthony Yarde, break him down. And I see him maybe getting a late stoppage, maybe around 11. A TKO, referee comes in and stops it because Yarde has no answer for Kovalev punches. Maybe 12, 13, 14 unanswered punches. Maybe not that many, but several unanswered punches, and I think the referee steps in and stops it. Kovalev, TKO, 11th round, experience on this side. Like I said, being in more bigger fights, being at that level. Yarde, his first time at that level. He's going from fighting C- level fighters to A- level fighter, and I think that's just too big of a jump for him. You see what I'm saying? That's just like, that's just like if you playing high school football and you playing in a state championship game, and you win the state championship game, you're the champion, and then you go from that to playing the Ohio State Buckeyes. You know what I'm saying? In your next game, it's a big jump. You know what I'm saying? It's a big jump from high school to Division I. High tier 4 level football. I think that's that's the kind of example I use. It's just a big jump coming from you dominated in high school, won a state championship. Now you're on a college team, Ohio State, and you're competing against and you playing on defense. And you competing against blue chip players on the other end. It's a big jump. You're gonna be like, this is different than out here in high school. I'm shutting down all these receivers in practice, intercepting the quarterback. I'm looking good out here in practice. Now I'm here next year at Ohio State, and this guy is throwing BBs past me, man. This guy's beating me, doing 2 or 3 juke moves and getting by me, getting open. I'm getting beat. It's just a different level, man. Just a different level. And I think Yarde is going to experience that tomorrow. So my prediction again is Sergey Kovalev, TKO, round 11, stops Anthony Yarde, retains the light heavyweight championship, and sets up a matchup with Canelo Alvarez in November, December on the Zone. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.